Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to Dr.Monkey, where we laugh together and cry together, but hopefully take something away to treat each other a little better. Here's some interesting stories. One about an inheritance that OP's mom was hiding from OP for 6 years. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I hope you'll enjoy it. I found out earlier this year that I was supposed to receive around $160,000 in inheritance money when my dad passed away. I found out by looking into a cabinet in our house. I was compelled to do so because my mother acts rich or poor, whatever suits her best, and some other strange behaviors. I found a letter that was addressed specifically to me from the life insurance company that had my inheritance. All I needed to do was submit some paperwork, and they give me a check. I'm not sure how, but my mother somehow submitted the documents for me, and even cashed the check that was in my name. I'm also not sure why she felt entitled to do it when she got a check for $500,000 herself. When I confronted her about it, she obviously did not take it well. She was very adamant that it's her money, until I informed her that I found the documents. I called the life insurance company and received photocopies of the check, submitted documents, etc. After I told her that, she tried negotiating with me, stating that she can give me $10,000 to start with and then $2,000 every month. I said no. I said she will guilt me into delaying her payments if we go that route. She tells me she will be homeless if I get all the money at once. I eventually make her show me her bank statements. As far as I know, she has around $330,000. In addition, she's been making 6 figures with her job for the past 3 years. Homeless my rear. I told her I need a good amount of money if I want to have any chance of moving out. I wanted to move out with my friend, but my mom took way too long to give me any money. I received $50,000 from her, like a week or so later. She started asking if she could borrow $20,000 for a month. She said she needs it in her bank account so that the lender can approve of the condo or house she wants to buy. She asked if I would be okay, and I stupidly told her that I'd be getting grants from school too. She then wanted to borrow $20,000 on top of the grant money by passively aggressively mentioning it whenever she could. A few weeks later, she forced me to go with her to the bank to withdraw $20,000. This was on October 3rd. On November 23rd, I asked her to give me $2,000. I told her it's been almost 2 months and I want a portion of it back via text. She gives me the silent treatment, in text and in person. The next day I tried calling her. She starts crying hysterically, saying, "I knew I shouldn't have trusted you with money. What are you doing? Meds? Are you gambling? Why are you so mean? You ruined my holiday. You've ruined my life. You're abnormal. You're just doing this because you're behind in your life and you're desperate. You don't have utilities to pay for. I spent so much money on food the past month." I'm not exaggerating when I say I've never told her to buy me food or make me food, but she always uses it as a form of guilt. A couple days later, we have a 4-hour argument. During this argument, I was so disgusted with her behavior that I told her I wanted nothing to do with her. A couple days after that, to my surprise, she comes into my room, asks me to hug her, and starts crying and says she just suppresses her thoughts and feelings, and says she'll give me $500 now, and then $500 on December 22nd? What the heck? I swallowed my anger for a couple of days, but then I could no longer hold it in. I wasn't giving her the silent treatment, but I wasn't looking at her or initiating any form of talking. She notices this and starts asking, "What's wrong?" She goes, "It's the money, isn't it?" And then repeats the same thing she did last time. "Are you gambling? You have no utilities, blah, 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 blah." And again, she made it very clear she wants to buy a condo or a house. I just can't remember which. I told her I'm mad at her because you told me you needed $20,000 for a month. And it's been over 2 months now, and you're still not giving it, so you lied. After this, she started acting like she was about to cry. Then she left the house. She then transferred another $500. I haven't talked to her since. It infuriates me she thinks she's entitled to this money. Why do you need a house? You're getting old and you're single? Secondly, not only was this money in your account in the first place because you committed fraud, but now I let you borrow money and you're going to treat it like it's an allowance? It's my money, legally. Get over it. You already got $500,000 before you took my money. Since I was 18, I've been working minimum wage jobs. She's made it clear as day that she thinks her needs are way above mine. I don't have utilities, I don't have a career yet, so I'm less important. Even if that's factually true, I'm your child, and that money is legally mine. Also, I just want to share this example of her behavior that I just remembered. When I was 19, I was working at a tutoring place in addition to a restaurant, while taking 16 units in college, with no car. I was leaving the house one day to go get a haircut. My mom then asked me, "Where are you going?" I told her I'm going to get a haircut. She then says verbatim, "Really? You're supposed to be using that money to help me." That's how entitled she is. Like, OMG. At this point, she received $660,000, while her child, who is a full-time student with 2 jobs and no car, is not important enough to use the money they earned from their job to get a haircut. I'm so mad. I just have a huge problem getting this taken care of because I hate making people uncomfortable. This is also why I usually cannot blindside a person by randomly bringing up an issue. I usually have to text them first. But I'm starting to think that's never a good idea. Ugh. Get a lawyer. Mail fraud, insurance fraud, identity theft. Why are you being miserable for her? She's very likely ruining your credit and aspects of your future. You don't owe her anything. You need to stop this before it's too far. So I didn't think these stories were real. I always thought they were over-exaggerated and these entitled moms couldn't possibly be real. Well, enter this entitled woman who entered our lives today. So with a big lit-up holiday centered around a fat man in a red suit and a baby being born, my kids needed to buy presents for their friends. With the entire family being sick for most of December, we finally got to the store. Now I only took 3 of the 5 kids as my wife took the other 2. One very important thing to point out is my 6-year-old son is mild autistic. He's also a sponge when it comes to learning and is a grade ahead, but without stimulation, he can be a nightmare. We are still working on that. We told him no tablet, but that he could bring any toy he wanted. So he brought this puzzle cube. We were walking through the store when I asked my oldest to watch over her brother as I had the 4-year-old. We were in the toy section when I hear my son scream. I turn around to see my daughter wrenching the toy out of another kid's hands and yelling at him, "It's not yours, let go." She eventually got the toy and I got between them and the kid started to hit me. I pushed him back a bit and said very loudly, instant regret as my throat was still sore, "No hitting!" He then rushed past me and went after my daughter, who was still holding the cube. My daughter just pushed the kid down the aisle. At this point, other parents are starting to get involved. The kid came to swing at my daughter again, and she once again threw him to the ground. It was at this point the boy's entitled mother showed up, and instead of taking care of her own demon spawn, entitled mom grabbed my daughter's hair. My daughter turned around quick and decked this entitled mom right in the stomach. The M tried to hit my daughter and my daughter punched the M in the face. The chaos ended, and it wasn't until this point that I could actually see all that was going on. I was restraining the little devil. My sons were being looked after by a very nice lady, and the EM was sitting on the floor crying. It was then that I heard a deep James Earl Jones kind of voice come from behind saying, "Hey Mac, let me take care of that." I didn't understand what he meant, so I just responded, "What?" He then replied, "That's my son and that. Stop crying, you started this mess." is my wife." She looked up at him and yelled something obscene, and he very calmly said, "Get up, apologize, and maybe they won't press charges." She snapped with a, "You're a disgusting husband." Aftermath, as a lot happened, so I will sum up. Police were called, cameras were looked at, Ian was arrested for assaulting a minor, the demon spawn was forced by his father to apologize to everyone. The manager apologized to the point I got annoyed, and the manager gave us a discount on our order. Oh, and remember the nice lady? She's a special education teacher, so that was lucky. And finally, my daughter was allowed to get a game of her choice, because Daddy's very proud of her. Edit. My daughter's been boxing for about 3 years now. She will be entering her first real 6-round match in 2 months. The dad was apparently just biding his time to divorce his wife. He was waiting to make sure that when he did, he would get full custody. He never thought she would pull a stunt like she did yesterday. Reading this, you may not be able to realize all this happened in 5 minutes. I took my eye off my daughter for about a second to grab the demon spawn to stop him from hitting people. That's when EM grabbed my daughter. The 2 punches went very quick. Update. Okay, I just got back from the police station with my daughter. We had to go do some paperwork and verify if we agree with their official timeline of events. We were informed that we may have to testify in court. My attorney stated we can be forced to testify in this case, but may not have to. So the entitled mom is facing assaulting a minor and endangering the welfare of a child, both of which are felonies. She is also facing charges for resisting arrest, assaulting a police officer, vandalism, and there is one more charge I can't remember the name of, but has to deal with her lying to the police. I spoke with the father today and he said he is seeking counsel for divorce. He offered to buy a new phone to replace my daughter's broken phone to avoid court fees. I don't know if I will put up another update, but my attorney said this case will go fast because EM is facing felony charges. My daughter is fine, though the mark she had on her face was darkened. The doctor said not to worry about it. I'm very proud of my daughter, not only for standing up for herself and her brother, but for showing restraint while doing it. After the second punch, she just stood there ready to swing again. She also remained calm when the officer said they had to cuff her until they found out who the aggressor was. My son, on the other hand, is not doing okay. The kid actually kicked my son, and he had a bad cut in his leg. He needed 4 stitches. It took us a while to realize it as he shut down during this time. As I said, a lot happened. I'm so proud of your daughter for standing up to that vicious bully of a kid to save her brother's toy. She's a tough kid, and I hope she wins her boxing match. I hope the dad divorces that witch of a wife who attacked your daughter and gets full custody so the bully kid learns how to behave. Our dad has this habit where he burns wood at the fire pit that was already built into the backyard when we moved in. But he would be talking very loudly on the phone, which is also on speaker too, and very late at night. I wasn't fully aware that my dad was doing this. I had to work the morning shifts and early morning classes, so I never noticed how late he was up and on his phone. It wasn't until one night, more like 3 or 4 in the morning, I woke up to flashing red and blue colors coming in through the window from the basement. I'm confused and just roll over to go back to sleep because, like I mentioned, I had to work the morning shift. I didn't find out until after I got home that the neighbors had called the cops on my dad because he was burning wood in the backyard at 3 or 4 in the morning while speaking loudly on the phone. He was speaking with a relative in Laos, and you can hear animals squawking and barking through the phone. It didn't help that my dad was speaking in a very, very loud tone. I'm not surprised that all the loud voices as well as animal noises heard through the phone was enough to wake the neighbors. So they called the cops, and they spoke to our dad about disturbances early in the morning. I'm sure it didn't sound like someone just casually burning firewood in their backyard while on their phone. It probably sounded like something else was happening, but he had decided that he would start waking up early just to talk on the phone with the speaker at full blast in the basement, just a few feet from my room, and he'd do this around 6 in the morning, when I have to get up at 8 and I'm struggling to sleep, and he doesn't give a rat's rear if I tell him not to do this. Well, if he's going to wake you, don't you need to have loud music playing so you can get dressed and do your morning routine? Two can play the loud game. Make sure he can't get in, though, to turn off the music. If he wants quiet, then he should do his phone call in his room or somewhere where he won't bother anyone, like maybe the phone call in the garage. My girlfriend lives at home, and I spend nights at her house. Her dad's girlfriend, stepmom, let's just call her Karen, and her dad have a kid together. My girlfriend's younger brother is 15. He's spoiled, and whenever he gets in trouble, he whines and gets out of it, or they tell him no, his mom gives in, and he gets whatever he wants. But that's a story for another time. Karen makes my girlfriend pay for meals, groceries, and things for her brother as if she's his mother, and not his sister. She isn't allowed to even lock her door, and she's a grown adult. She can't even go on vacations with me and my family, or do little things like coming over to my family for holidays most times. Karen freaks out about the smallest of things, and blames my girlfriend for most of it, when she had no involvement at all. It's so bad that my girlfriend has to help her pay for Karen's loan, just because they made a deal for her to go on a trip with me and my family. My girlfriend has no freedom at all, and can't live her life without having to worry or be yelled at by Karen. My girlfriend doesn't like her job, but can't quit because Karen won't let her. I work part-time and go to college, but as soon as I save enough money, I'm going to buy an apartment and get her away from Karen. This is just a short, brief example of what she has to go through. I love my girlfriend, and I want to free her from Karen. The only power Karen has over her is the power she's giving. She can leave if it's a matter of saving money. Let her live with you for a while to save up for her own place. She doesn't have to live with Karen. It's her choice. Well guys, that's all for today. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm going to link it right here. The story's about an insanely jealous Karen who stole my identity and just happens to be my mother. Check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you next time on Dr. Monkey.